This is the Mohsin Mortgage Program with Sara Mohsin. Mohsin Mortgage is licensed in several states for residential and commercial purchases and refinancing. Call 800-662-9550. And now, here's your host, Sara Mohsin.
Great to be back here again, folks, and it is a wonderful weekend here in Pittsburgh. I'm looking forward to having good friend AnnMaria DeMars, Seventh Generation Games CEO. How are you today, AnnMaria?
I'm great. Having a lovely spring day in Santiago, Chile, or Chile. Fall day. Today's the first day of fall down here.
Okay, so I'm really thrilled to have you on air because of the fact that we had some great conversations a few weeks ago at the Arnold Sports Festival, and I truly believe in the work that you're doing. Can you share a little bit about your company?
Sure. Seventh Generation Games makes video games that teach math and social studies, and we do it in Spanish and English. Mm-hmm. And my partners and I started it because we just saw so many kids that their opportunities in life were sort of cut off because they struggled with math. And you always hear people say, well, I don't have that math brain. And I think that's just bull. At some point, maybe you didn't quite understand division or fractions, and then all the things that built on that, you struggled with. It wasn't like you weren't able to do it. And people like you and I, we often have family members who are very good at math, who are maybe educators, and they can help us at those struggles. And the kids who don't have that just fall further and further and further behind. So we wanted something for those kids to give them an opportunity to succeed. And then at the other end, you've got kids who are really bright, and they're doing well in school, and what happens if you get all your worksheets done? Then the teacher gives you more worksheets. So we wanted something for those bright little kids to play math games, and like I just talked to my granddaughter, called me last night because she's working on the interquartile range and mean absolute deviation. So she had some questions about it. She's 9. So this is a kid who has, been one of our test subjects playing our games all the way along. So we wanted I just truly believe that there are a couple of things that can really help people's ability to succeed in life. And one of them is being good in math. And we try to make games that kids will play in that middle school, late elementary age when they're starting to struggle and they're starting to fight with you about doing their homework. And they don't have a vision of the future. They're not like you. They're not sitting around thinking, well, how am I going to pay my mortgage when I'm 28? So we're trying to intervene early before problems start really bad and give kids who maybe don't have supplemental materials to such an extent an opportunity. And, the games are great. I mean, they can play them on a computer. They can play them on an iPad. We have some games you can play on an Android phone. So we're just trying to reach out to everybody in the world because math is everywhere.
It is, AnnMaria. And you truly, I looked at the games. They're fascinating, and they're very useful to make math friendly. Financial literacy, one of the key things about what we're dealing with here from our financial side of things is that it's often left aside. You don't see it a lot in schools, nor do you see it often in the relationships that we have. Sometimes we do see relationships break apart because of the lack of financial literacy. So the games really they're beautifully done, AnnMaria. And your background is, you have a sports background as well, do you not?
Right. I was the world judo champion.
It's a big deal.
It's funny because I always tell my girls I have a gold medal and a PhD, and one of them lets us live by the beach in Santa Monica, and it's not the gold medal. So I love sports, and one of the things that I write about on my blog, I do a blog, drannmaria.blogspot.com, and it's separate from my company. It's just ranting because on my company blog, on the 7generationgames.com blog, our CEO says I should be limited to 1 swear word per post and preferably 0. But my personal one, I do talk a lot about how, being an international athlete prepared me for running a startup because it's a huge amount of work, and most people think you won't succeed, and it's a huge amount of work for a long time. Perseverance pays off. And I think, too, it's anybody who wins gold medals like at the world level and says, "Oh, I did it all myself," is a big liar. Everybody had help, and it's the same way with starting a company, especially something like a tech company. Everybody needs help. You need help for people to be your first testers. You need help for your friends to give you their feedback on what you're considering as a name. You need teachers to try it out in their class, or parents to try it out. You need developers. There's so many things.
Yes.
So I think that sports background prepared me for the long, hard struggle that is getting a startup up and running and scaling. But hey, I've done hard things before, so.
You have, and you're very accomplished, and you're very humble, and I completely agree. Life is a team sport. It's nothing is going to come together. We are not successful on our own. I really embrace the word help, because we all need help at some point in our lives, whether we have great mentors, supporters. It's important to know that we don't get to a place by ourselves. And with your sports background, you know that it is a team sport, just as it is in finances, because if we don't ask questions, we're often misinformed, and we make bad decisions when it comes to our financial wellness. So all about supporting. You were listed also 40 over 40 on Forbes, right?
Yeah.
AnnMaria?
Yep.
So that's
and
a
that's one
huge.
of the, yeah.
Yes.
That's one of those stereotypes I'm trying to bust up too. That I know that your company focuses a lot on finances and managing your financial health, and there's a number of ways to do that. One is to be more. One is to be more productive, to make more money, right? So, people always say it's not what you earn, it's what you keep, but you can't keep more than you earn. So, that's one of the reasons we focus on math, bilingual games, because down here in Chile, where I'm opening a second office now, there's a big advantage to being bilingual. But the other way is to not retire so soon. And, people retire a lot of times because they just hate their job. They have done it to support their family, good for them. But the second they have their 20, 30 years and get that gold watch, they're done. And for me, I just feel like life is a series of adventures, challenges. So
Yes.
when I had the chance to come down here to Chile and open up a second office with Startup Chile to, sell 7 Generation Games down here in Spanish, I jumped at it. And before that, the Forbes list I made for founding 7 Generation Games and getting a first 10,000 users in the U.S. So I'm trying to disrupt aging and convince people that your grandma doesn't have to sit home and knit. Maybe she can go to the other side of the world and open up a new company in a new language.
I agree, Maria. I think that being adventurous, being open to new things. You mentioned you just got your 7th degree black belt. Is that correct?
I did.
Well, it's a big deal. That's huge. And I think that being someone who's embracing change constantly and making that disruption in a positive way, because when we provide the tools in a fun way, especially with kids, with what 7th Generation Games has done, visually, I'm a visual person, so for me that works very well. At a young age, I was not the best student. I was not the best math student either. I actually had a fear of math. And so when I look at what you have, I find that not only fascinating, but so very useful and a great way to approach math, financial literacy, not only for young children, but for adults as well, because that is really the number one issue right now we're dealing with here in this country is the lack of education on finances, the high amount of debt. We have such a high amount in student loan debt, credit card debt, and it's really based off of how you can manage the interest rates, how you pay off that debt, and then just do the math so that you can invest in other things such as family and faith and travel and remarkable things that you're doing, AnnMaria. So I'm truly blessed and grateful that we did cross paths.
Oh, what a nice thing to say. We're working on a game now. Actually, we did a Kickstarter campaign for Forgotten Trails, and we did the first 5 levels of that. And so the other levels that we do have on the drawing board have to do with financial literacy, because in the story, these kids decide they're going to walk across the country. They're going to retrace their ancestors' path where they, 1,000 years ago, walked all the way from northeast Canada to the middle of the U.S., where the Ojibwe live now. And so there's a part of it that we have the storyline, we have the artwork, we just need to get it done, because when you're a small company, you have a million things on your to-do list, and they end up out of money in Quebec. And they have to get a job and earn enough money that they can get their way back. So I think that's the way you get kids involved. I know it is. Like, we, in our games, sometimes teachers say, well, where's the education part? Because at the beginning, there's a lot of storyline. But what we found is to keep kids playing, once the math starts, you have to have them hooked in to begin with. So, for example, after they've, gotten their character so far, and there's a math problem they can't solve that says, you've wandered into Canada, and they use the metric system. How far is it to get to the next spot in meters? And they have to convert kilometers to miles, or vice versa. They might give up at that point, except that, well, they've already come halfway through. They're not going to quit now, so they'll go and look at the educational resources. They'll put that little extra effort into it.
Absolutely. I really enjoyed looking at the games when we got together a couple of weeks ago, and I have to say, in my mindset, it's a winner. It makes it fun. It keeps it interesting. And the draw in itself is that it provides that long-term benefit for children at a young age, to learn about finances, to learn about numbers and saving, because often enough that comes from your home life. If you have parents, one is a spender, the other is a saver, you usually collect those habits because you don't see as much financial education or literacy in the schooling system as much as what you see in your home life. Don't you believe, AnnMaria?
I think that's true. When I was teaching middle school many years ago, I did cover that in my class. So we would have some extra class time, and I would cover budgets, and I would have students look up the average, salary for a job, given the level of education they were planning on getting. But that wasn't a required part of the curriculum, so that was just kind of our enrichment. And a friend of mine says that exact same thing, that we educate our kids for success a lot, but not for survival. So we make sure that they go to really good universities and that they get a degree so they know how to program a computer, or they know how to work in a lab, or they have other skills. But things like reading every contract before you sign it, balancing your checkbook, doing a budget, those kind of survival skills, we just kind of assume they're going to pick up. Like, I was astounded. One of my kids, I was driving to, and they all went to private high schools, right? Really good private high schools in a really good area. And I'm driving her to school, and I say, fill out the check for your tuition. I hand her my checkbook. And she says, how do you write a check? And I look over, you have a check. To be kidding me. But if no one's ever showed you that, and it just never occurred to me that someone could be taking their SATs, getting straight A's, and not know how to fill out a check.
Very true. And I think that what you're doing is remarkable. I look at it and I think, there's reasons always why people cross paths. I truly enjoyed our time together a few weeks ago. You've raised some amazing children yourself. You've done some amazing things. And I look forward to having you back on air with us, AnnMaria. So I'm very grateful that you could join us today from Chile and Seventh Generation. Is there any way they can reach you, anyone who may have questions?
Yeah, they can go to 7, generationgames.com. And we've got blogs all over the place on there. They can find out everything about Chile, games, bilingual ed, math education, Native Americans. And there's a contact form on the site, or they can follow me at AnnMaria Stat, as in for statistics, on Twitter, and I'm on LinkedIn. I'm just all over the place.
Very good, AnnMaria. Thank you so much for coming on air with us today And with that, I'll have you back, CEO of Seventh Generation Games. And I look forward to 7. I keep saying 7. Sorry.
I know.
7 Generation
it's kind of like
Games.
you get into a habit of something and then you say it forever. I know exactly.
I know. 7 Generation Games. And I look forward to, if you have any questions, also you can reach us here at 1-800-662-9550. And thank you so much, AnnMaria.
All right. Thanks for having me.
This has been the Mohsin Mortgage Program with Sara Mohsin. Mohsin Mortgage is licensed in several states for residential and commercial purchases and refinancing. Call 800-662-9550.